Hi guys, so welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's video lecture, we'll be discussing about compositions and functions. In our previous video lecture, we discussed about operations and functions. So basically, we have the four operations, the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and addition. Actually, class, the composition and functions is one of the operations and functions. It's composition. How do we perform composition and functions? Actually, when we perform the composition and functions class, we are just like substituting. Or, can you imagine a sandwich with an omelette inside? Or, an omelette, ang sulod is sandwich. So that is the concept of composition and functions. Kung unsa ang imuhang gisulod, or it's just replacing or substituting. Okay, let's have an example on composition and functions. But first, we have here our different functions. So we have f of x is equal to 5x plus 1. G of x is square root of x plus 3. H of x is x squared minus 3x plus 2. And I of x is equal to 2x plus 2 over x minus 1. So let's have our first composition of functions. We have here, let's start with here. So, what have you noticed sa composition and functions? The sign or the symbol that we'll be using in composition and functions class is this small circle. More small circle, but we read this as the composite function of h and f of x. Okay. So, for us to solve it class, the same gani sa operation and functions, we need to rewrite it into its equivalent value. So, we can write this as h of f of x. Can you see the pattern now? Kung sa ato ang sugod, h of f of x. As you have noticed sa ato ang evaluating a function, naaratay f of x. Dayon, pwede na ito ilista ng x. Karon, ang concept sa composition function, from one function, gisudlan og another function. Then, pwede po sudlan ang variable. Okay, let's start. Start with h of x. What is h? Again, the process class is you will just follow ang pagkasunod-sunod sa pagkasulat sa ato ang variable. We have first the h, followed by f, and then x. h. Unsay value sa h of x? So we have x squared minus 3x plus 2. So that is our first function. Next, as you have noticed class here, after sa h, mo na nitong gisulat. Next is our second function, which is f. Ang f is inside the h. So now, instead of writing x here, we change it by the equivalent value of f of x, which is 5x plus 1. So, instead of writing x, you change it by 5x plus 1 squared minus 3 times 5x plus 1 plus 2. Gets? Again, you start from the first variable, h. So, you copy the h of x. Next step is, instead of writing x class, you change it by the second function. Unsa man ang second function nga nakasulat? It's the f of x. So, 5x plus 1. Instead of writing x here, you change it by 5x plus 1. Now, naabay value ato ang x. Since wala na value ato ang x, then we can now simplify these functions. So, we have here 5x plus 1 squared. You are squaring a binomial. You just follow the pattern. You square first the first term, 5x squared, or 5x times 5x. That is correct. 25x squared. Next, How do we get the middle term? So, ano ito pagkuha sa middle term? So, simple. 5x times 1, 5x. Since it's squared, you multiply it by 2. Sa middle term lang na ha. 5x times 1, it's 5x times 2. That is 10x. 1 squared or 1 times 1 is 1. Gets? Okay. Next step is you need to distribute this. Negative 3 times 5x is negative 15x. Then, negative 3 times positive 1, it's negative 3. Then, you copy the plus 2. You combine like terms. Can you see any terms with variable x with exponent 2? Wala. So, you'll just copy the 25x squared. Next, can you see any terms na ay variable x? Okay. You can combine 10x minus 15x. You are subtracting a smaller number to a larger number. What is the resulting sign? It's negative, correct. Negative 5x. 1 minus 3. Smaller minus larger is negative. Then you have negative 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So, wala na tayo pwede dira ibutang. That's, and now, can you see any common to 25? X squared minus 5x. Yes. 25 and 5 is divisible by 5. Pwede na itong pagawas. This is factoring with common factor. Factoring by its common. What else? As you have noticed, ang first term and second term na ay variable x. So, pwede na ito mapagawas. Okay. So, unsay mabilin diri sulod sa atong parentheses. 25x squared divided by 5x. So, 25 divided by 5, it's 5. X squared divided by x, it's x. Minus 5x divided by 5x is 1. So, this is our final answer. Do you have any questions? Okay, let's have another example. Let's have here G's circle of f, or the composite function of G and f of, let's have 3. So, as you have noticed here, unlike to our first example class, x lang ang naadiani. Now, we already have a value of x, which is 3. First step is you need to rewrite it into its equivalent value. So, we have g of f of positive 3. So, unsa atong first function na isulat? It's the letter g. Unsay function under g of x? It's square root of x plus 3. Next, unsa ato ang isulod inside the g of x? Remember, the function that you will replace inside sa g of x, sa variable inside the g of x, is ang next nga function, which is the f of x. So we have here square root of, instead of writing x, you change it by 5x plus 1 plus 3. Then, pwede ta na i-simplify daan. So, we have square root of 5x. 1 plus 3 is 4. Okay, next step. Unlike to our previous example class, no walay equivalent value ang x. Here, naa na tay value sa x, which is 3. Starting from the g of x, and then you replace the second function, which is the 5x plus 1, or the f of x. After you replace the second function class, you can automatically replace na dayon the third value, which is the 3. Instead of writing x, you change it by 3. So you have 5 times 3 plus 4. So you have square root of 5 times 3 is 15 plus 4 is equal to, what is our answer? It's square root of 90. Do you have any questions? Okay, let's have last example in composition of functions. Actually, class, easy lang yun ang composition of functions. Just follow the concept of replacing and following lang yun the sequence in writing our function. Let's have another example. Okay, let's have another example. Let's have I, or the composite function of I of f of, let's give a value of x na po. 2. Okay. Again, the first step is you rewrite I of f of 2. So what is our first function? It's the I of x. So you have 2x plus 2 over x minus 1. Next step is, instead of writing x, you replace it sa second function, which is f. Or pwede na nimo butangan og number 1, 2, 3. So this is our first step. O, diba? Muna siya tong first step. Pwede nimo sulatan, pwede ra po dili. Then followed by here. Instead of writing x, you change it by our function f. After this class is, instead of writing x, you change it by the equivalent value of f, which is, we have here 5x plus 1 plus 2. So we have over x. Instead of writing x, you change it by 5x plus 1 minus 1. Then, di ba remember na anti-value na sa x, which is 2. Okay, pwede na natin i-replace daan 5 times 2 plus 1 plus 2 over 5 times 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. That plus 0. Okay, we have here 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1, it's 11 plus 2. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 0, that is 10. 2 times 11 is 22 plus 2, that is 24 over 10. Remember that 24 and 10 can be simplified by 2. So we have here 12 over 5. Or pwede sana nimo i-rewrite into mixed fractions. Do you have any questions? Okay, so again, if you perform composition and functions class, you just rewrite it into its equivalent form and remember the sequence. Kung unsa ang first letter, maugid na ang first function nga imong isulat, followed by the second letter, and there are cases where naay value ang x or walay value ang x. So thank you for listening. Again, this is teacher Aya Samantha. Bye! See you to our next video lecture.